Gremlins General, you asked if we see meerkats in this area or in our area. No, we don't. Now, Gremlins General, we actually see them in more semi-arid to desert areas. So where I was just recently on a trip with guests, we went to the Kalahari, the northwestern part of South Africa, and we saw a lot of meerkats out there. So that's where you see the meerkats. We don't get them in this part of South Africa, not up in Kruger at all. So we don't see them here. They don't occur naturally in these areas. And another little interesting creature called a ground squirrel. So much larger than the tree squirrels that we get, and they've got these big bushy tails, and they're wonderful to see in those very hot, harsh conditions. Those ground squirrels use their tails as shade. They'll fan their tail out, and it does give them a little bit of shade, or shades the body slightly. But those ground squirrels and meerkats will sometimes share burrows. They'll share little areas and little burrows that they have, and I've seen them interacting a number of times before. Now we've just got to Buffelshoek Dam, so I'd like to have a look to see if there's anything here. Doesn't look like anything has come down to drink just yet. I'm just going to pop up onto the dam wall and we'll have a look from there. Now there's lots of water around, and it's lovely around here at the dam, but I don't see any activity. Nothing's come down to drink, it doesn't look like it. It's nice to sometimes just sit and wait and have a look around these areas. You might hear something moving down. I think, again, when you're driving around constantly trying to chase animals, it doesn't always work, and you might not find what you're looking for. But sitting somewhere peacefully, patiently, you'll sometimes get animals coming out. So I'm going to sit at this dam for a little while, just for a few moments, and see if I don't see anything coming down. But while I do that, Taylor's on her way to another big dam, Chitwa Dam.
We are slowly making our way there, but there's a car. I don't know what this car, and a Nyala. Okay, that's okay, as long as we're not going to bump a leopard sighting. There's leopard tracks actually coming up this road. We're in the Mulwati now, going back behind us. So I wonder if this isn't little Shongile's tracks. Yeah, she was walking here. I wonder if this is not where she's moved around from. This is also the black-collared barbet area. I'm just checking around here because I want those black-collared barbets like it around here. But we do have some in Nyala. Pardon? Oh goodness, that's okay. There we go, beautiful Nyala bull. Just in the drainage line where they normally are. We've got a bit of a roadblock though until we get to Chitwa. Beautiful boy though. Just crossing through. Again, we're going to be seeing a lot more animals around these drainage systems. You'll find that the Mulwati route is going to become very, very, very popular. But what I did want to say is, Byron, perhaps once you're done staring into Buffelshoek Dam, maybe come and check around the Mulwati, around Chelepan, Spaghetti Junction, maybe even back towards Vuyatela Dam, because these tracks are going straight in the direction now. They're going sort of northwest. So this could be the same tracks from the same leopard, very gracefully going up that bank. It goes. Now we need to just reposition. Riti, you're wondering if that Nyala is in the deer family? No, so deer and antelope, I'm just going to pull off up here. Deer and antelope are actually different if we don't get stuck. Let's not get stuck. How does that sound? Actually, folk, that's not enough space. So no, they're not in the same family at all. They're completely different. I'm just trying to pull off and not fall into an elephant hole. And also, it's not going to work, and also not have the other safari car slide into me, because you can slip in the sand. Let's try go up here. Will we go up here? Are we going to get stuck? Probably. Yay, we didn't get stuck. Whew. That took a lot of maneuvering. There's just another vehicle they're coming past us now, so I do want to just tell Tax as we drive past him, so just please bear with me for a couple of minutes. I want to tell him that those tracks are here. Hello, hello. There are Mafazi, Ingwe and Konzo going up and down here, hey? I saw them. Okay, do you saw those ones, eh, Fonoti? Where must I check for you? Been doing that the whole afternoon. I think came back over Gari Main and crossed in at the quarry where I saw them, and then up here. It's hard. Okay, well, we'll keep scratching around here. I think Byron will also come scratch around here. Cool. Have a good drive, everyone. I'm sure. And then cross south. There we go. That was just Tax I was talking to. Just getting an update. Sorry, Ferg. Almost lost you there. Come on, Rusty. Back down you go. You went up easily. You don't give me any gears about not being able to go down that little hill, right? So, Fanauti Tax's tracker is saying that the leopard tracks are going up and down. And he said exactly the same thing. He thinks that they're the same tracks that I had going away from Treehouse Dam towards Shabamu Pans, crossing on the fire break, walking on Gari Main, and then crossing back in, sort of between the quarry and what's that other road, Weaver's Nest, and then coming all the way back up here, coming into the Mulati at some point. See, if it is Shongile, she's moving around a whole lot during the day. Okay, let's go underneath. Now, Paul, you're wondering when would we start to see more leopard cubs? We just got to go underneath the tunnel here. Pause, not even Paul, pause. Sorry, like a cat paw. So we don't know any females that are pregnant in this particular area. Shadow's got a cub. Tandi's got Tumba, so I don't think she's going to drop Tumba off just yet. He's still got a little while to go, so it's going to be a couple of months or so before we see anything. Shongile is still a little bit young. They can normally start to reproduce around, let's see, I know some really young leopards that have sort of become sexually active just before 2 years old, but it's normally around 2.5 years old that they can have their first set of cubs. So it really does just depend, but I don't think any time soon, unless one of the other leopards push sort of further into this area that we don't know about. Then I think it'll be a while. So we'll just have to keep finding Shadow then, because she's got the littlest cub of them all at the moment. But I'm going to just check up in these jackalberries. There's some massive jackalberries, lots of leadwoods. Perfect spots, of course, for leopards to sit. Byron, however, is still bumbling about. He's obviously left Biffle's Hook Dam. He's looking glorious in the golden light. Perhaps he'll shake his hair for you.
No, Taylor, I won't. Now, I just heard some elephant calling in this area. I just don't know where they are. I think they're in this thick block off to my left. I just wanted to see if we could find them. I saw their tracks in the fresh dung, but I think we just missed them. We'll see. I think we might head down back into that area along that drainage line where we think Tingana might be. We'll see. Bree, you asked if people really walk around at night alone. You'd be surprised. People think that in the camp they're safe, or they don't understand that that the animals do move through the camps from time to time. So they might walk from their room, and it doesn't seem like much, but from your room to the main area could be 100 meters, maybe that, depending how far your room is from the camp, and they think, oh, it's okay. But a lot of the time you can bump into animals. I've seen many animals move through the camps. So yes, it's mainly at night, because animals react a bit differently at night, and also if you're a bit inexperienced, walking at night by yourself is not a good idea. So a guide always escorts you, or or as I said, camp security. They'll walk you. They've got torches, and also they just aware of what's passing through the camp, so they'll know if there is an elephant or if there is a hippo or anything, and they'll just take you to the nearest safe place if need be, and then call a ranger just to help you if you need it. No, Blaze, you asked, will we find predators? We're looking for predators. So we saw Tristan had a beautiful male lion this morning that was stalking and trying to hunt some warthogs. So he had a great sighting. There was the male leopard that moved through the property. Is on here still somewhere. We just can't find him at the moment. The bush is still quite thick, and I think he's gone down into a drainage line. So we're not exactly sure where he has moved. He's moved quite a long distance this morning, almost right through into the center of the property. But he may stick his head out. It's starting to cool down. Maybe he pops out and moves around for us. And you mentioned, or you wanted to know about anthrax or rabies. Well, anthrax is usually brought on from serious drought, serious dry conditions. You asked if it's an issue in this area, like it has occurred in Kruger before in the past, but it gets dealt with accordingly in that. And at this stage, no, it won't be a problem here at all, because it's not a serious drought. We had a serious drought last year, and luckily we didn't have any anthrax. So maybe it's not around in this part of the greater Kruger. And then rabies can occur because animals might come into contact with tame animals or pets from neighboring communities, and that if a leopard or something kills a dog in the community, which can happen, or dogs come into the wild, not wild dogs, but pet dogs, feral dogs come into the area. They can sometimes bring rabies in, but we haven't had a case here for quite some time. So it can happen, but it's unlikely. I mean, there are a lot of controls, and if we have any suspicion, it gets dealt with accordingly very quickly. So we'll get vets in and that, because that is something that gets brought in. So that's not a natural disease or anything that gets brought in from the outside. So people will interfere then, because we don't interfere with nature at all out here. If we find injured animals or anything that's hurt, it's nature's way of kind of keeping a balance and looking out for that only the strongest will survive and the strongest genes. But something like rabies that gets brought in, that will get handled by vets, because that is not a natural disease that these animals catch. Christian, now that then answers your question of whether we help injured animals. So no, Christian, we don't. Any injured animals or animals that have been hurt by other animals or naturally out in nature, it's sometimes it's difficult to see, but it's nature's way. We are purely here to view and observe the animals. We're not here to interfere. And some people don't necessarily agree with it, but we need to understand that we are here in their habitat, in their environment, purely to observe, and that is nature's way of keeping a balance, and we need to understand and respect that. AKA, you asked if there are vultures around. There are indeed. There are a lot of vultures in this area. In Kruger in general, plenty of vulture species, and they would be looking for not necessarily, excuse me, tongue twister, not necessarily injured animals, but dead animals. There'll be a number of carcasses if animals have died from natural causes, or just if it's just a branch, but I'm going to have a look anyway. It is just a branch. It just appeared a little darker through that tree. Do you see just on the left hand side of the tree? I just caught a glimpse of it, but it is a branch of that tree that's just bent slightly differently. Don't judge me, I thought it was something sitting up in the tree. So aka yes, a lot of vultures, and predominantly feeding on dead carcasses and animals that have been hunted by lions or that have died from natural causes. That's what the vultures will feed on. It's a beautiful afternoon, great temperature. I wonder if we're going to have similar mist tomorrow morning like we had today. I'm just trying to listen out here quickly. I can just hear a lot of rattling testiculars. So those little birds, they do alarm call at predators moving around. Anything? I'm just listening and trying to have a look. I don't see anything. Blaze, you asked what animals attack predators. Well, if anything, it would be other predators, but not necessarily for food. It's highly unlikely. It does happen from time to time, but it's highly unlikely that other predators would hunt other predators. So predators prefer hunting antelope species or herbivores in general, but in saying that, lions, for example, will kill other predators purely because it's competition. So they won't actively hunt them for food, but they'll kill them for potential competition purposes. Leopards might, if they're solitary animals, so they try and avoid confrontation with other predators. Hyena may try and injure a leopard or lions even. Hyenas do attack lions if they outnumber them. And that's mainly because they're trying to get to a kill if those lions have made a kill, so they're trying to scavenge that kill from the lions. So if anything is to hurt another predator or injure another predator or kill another predator, it would be a predator of sorts. So it all depends. No, it sounds like Taylor's down at Chitwa Dam and she's sitting watching one of my favorite birds at the moment. Sorry, just kidding. Taylor's decided not to show you the bird that I like. I think she's just gone through a little dip, so his signal disappeared, but I'm sure she'll get it back shortly. So you're stuck with me for now. Apologies. I wonder if there are any more elephant around. The temperature definitely is cooling down now, so it's a lovely time of the afternoon. And now in winter, you do get some predators becoming a bit more active. I was, while we were in the Kalahari, it was about this time of the day. The sun was, about this time of the day. And the sun was still out, so we had good light, but we were sitting with a pride of lions. And we weren't sure if they would move because they were lying in the thicket that they went into during the day. But luckily the temperature cooled down and some cubs got very active. And they basically started waking up some of the older lions in the pride, and they all came and lay out in the open and were very playful. We had such a wonderful sighting, so I'm hoping that would happen in this area too. But on that note, it sounds like Taylor has got her signal back and she's at Chitwa Dam.
We have indeed arrived at Chitwa Dam to much commotion. Obviously sitting with a beautiful view of our friend the crocodile. We're having loads of luck at the moment with crocodile sightings. We keep getting very interesting angles. And this fella, whether it's Boris or Vladimir, I'm still uncertain as to how to tell the difference between the two. But we've got one of them. He's posing very nicely and is giving us an opportunity to really see her beautiful teeth. Isn't that amazing? And with a lovely golden light too. And some Egyptian geese flying across the screen. They're having all sorts of arguments at the moment, so we might have some interesting Egyptian geese sighting. There's a territorial dispute going on with two pairs, but they're flying about now. Once they settle on the island again, I think we could see some more action and some fighting. But this is so fantastic. Again, a perfect opportunity to take a whole bunch of screenshots. Isn't that lovely? What do you think, Ferg? Do you think it is lovely?
Yes, lovely. The light is behaving at this moment in time.
It is. The light is definitely behaving itself. I like crocodiles. I know that they're not necessarily the most beautiful creature. I like them. I think they're quite cool. They're interesting looking. Armor plated just about, very thick hide. Not impenetrable, of course, to the hippo's teeth. Now, Tiny, you say that, look at those teeth, wow. Indeed, look at those teeth. And I'm hoping that to go with these teeth, we're going to see some crocodiles. Perhaps opening their, not crocodiles, hippos opening their mouths and showing their teeth. So I think a crocodile has more teeth than a hippo. However, hippo's jaws are super powerful too. I'm trying to think in terms of bite force. I think a crocodile might have a stronger bite force than a hippopotamus, but I do stand corrected here. So if I have made a mistake, please let me know. But I wouldn't like to end on either side of the jaws of either a hippo or a crocodile. Just stay in the car and watch from the safety. Would you swim across this dam, Ferg? Would you be brave enough to? From lengthways, not width to width. From the dam wall all the way towards some of the rooms.
Depends how warm it was, eh?
It depends how warm it was. We saw about the warm weather. I don't know. I reckon that you'd even be snatched up by catfish. I think there's some monster catfish living in this dam. People underestimate as to how large those fish actually get. I mean, that's probably why these crocodiles are so healthy. I think that's predominantly diet. It's definitely what I saw crocodiles eating most in the Great Zambezi. They were always catching fish and eating them on the banks of the river. How great is that? Let's actually almost do a different technique, which is quite funny. Normally with, of course, crocodiles, if they do catch an antelope or something like that, they drag it underwater and they do the death roll. But with a fish, they can't obviously drag it underneath water because it can breathe underwater, so they come out on land and they feed upon it, which I find very, very interesting. But there's quite a few different animals out here. There's even a very nice waterbuck, a whole family of waterbuck actually just walking just off into the distance. They've come down for a drink. Not uncommon to see waterbuck. I should have said Waterbuck then, if I wanted to say in Afrikaans. But the waterbuck are not strangers to the Chitwa Dam or any of the watering holes, in fact. And he's a beautiful boy. He's in prime condition. He almost looked like he had a dewlap at one point. He's got so much muscle on his neck. Isn't that great? Also staring out. I think he's looking for the females, which there were quite a few of them around here. Look at that. He is an impressive waterbuck. His horns aren't particularly massive, but his body size is impressive. Look at that. Right down onto his chest. There's a bit of skin that's sagging there. That's what looks like a dewlap almost that you would see on a leopard or perhaps even on a buffalo. But typically the dewlap is underneath the chin. Although no, I actually maybe not, because an eland also has a dewlap that hangs way lower than a traditional one. There's a Nyala bull also walking at the back there. There's an abundance of life around the dam, and I'm excited because I know the further and further we head into the dry season, the more often and the more variety of animals we're going to start to see at the dam too. Now, wouldn't it be nice if Tandi and Tamba came strolling down to have a sip of water? This used to be their favorite hunting grounds. but seen as though the territory is opened up where Karula once roamed, they seem to be moving further and further into that area too. But as there's a nice evening, the wind is just starting to settle down now. Maybe that waterbuck is even slightly nervous just because of the wind and relying on his eyesight a little bit more than he does his sense of smell. Because he's walking every few steps, stopping, then observing. Very, very cautious, this fella. Now, actually, you're wondering, why do the waterbuck look so similar to deer and moose? Well, I suppose they're similar in a way, but they're not in the same family. Of course, the biggest difference is the fact that... Oh, that's a car. I thought I heard an elephant rumbling, but it isn't. It's just another vehicle driving past. And of course, the deer have antlers, so they shed them annually, whereas our antelope only get one set of horns for their entire life. So that's the main difference. That's what separates them. We do have antelope. Well, it's not all male and female antelope get horns. And I think with the deer, isn't it with the deer that only the males have got the antlers, which I think is true, because they just get them for breeding season and then they shed them. The females don't need them. Whereas the horns out here provide a very important role for protection of the various species. Some antelope have it too. There's another young male. Obviously a bachelor herd in the area. I did see a few females scattered about too, but just come down to quench its thirst. So this is what we call a water-dependent animal. They won't move within 5 kilometers of a permanent water source. They're always down here. There's lots of grass for them, nice big open plain. It's the perfect habitat to find waterbuck. This would actually be a very good area too to find cheetah. It is nice and open here, but there's some shrubs and termite mounds that they can hide behind, or on the termite mounds stand up on them and scan. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough to find a cheetah down this end. Very thirsty, hasn't stopped. The only thing that's carried on moving there, well, actually there's two things. His lips, so he's sucking up the water, and then of course his tail is wagging quite a bit. Now, machine gun Nash, you're wondering how much does the average waterbuck weigh? They're not particularly big. I would say somewhere around maybe between 250, maybe 300 kilograms. I think that weighs something like that. So a good meal for a predator like a lion. This is of course the males. The females will weigh slightly less. They're not tall antelope, but they're quite sort of wide set. The kudu is much taller than a waterbuck. An Egyptian goose also sneaking back there. I can just hear some go-away birds shouting in the far distance in the drainage line. Wimpy, you're wondering if a waterbuck is called a ringgat in Afrikaans. Yes, yes, I'll say the polite way, but the direct translation to that is not necessarily the nicest. But so yes, ringed bottom, I suppose, is the English translation for that directly. But yes, Wimpy, you are indeed correct. That fence that you can see, that's just a little elephant wire that a lot of the lodges have around the rooms to keep the elephants and buffalo out mainly. It doesn't stop the cats, of course. They can go underneath it. And that's what you're looking at there, but they're feeding right along the drainage line. I think we need to go and do a bit of investigating. There's quite a bit of chatter from the birds down on a road that runs just over there. The go-away birds are going crazy, and you could sort of follow the sound of the go-away birds. So I wonder if there isn't a leopard perhaps walking around there, but that means we have to move and go all the way back around the way we came, and then eventually maybe come back and check around here. Right, let's do that. Right, I'm going to send you across now. The two it's getting to that time where they should be coming out.
Yeah, well, we hope so, Taylor. Hopefully some other animals come out and get a bit more active now in this cool weather with this beautiful sunlight that we've got, golden light. Lovely time of the day. Still driving around, scanning trees. So we'll see what else we can find. Again, I'm still checking these drainage lines. I'm sticking to that idea for this afternoon. I can smell what smells like a fire. Not a bush fire, like a campfire. A wonderful smell in the air at the moment. Can you smell it, Craig? Yeah, so often what happens now also as the temperature cools, the colder air sinks down and traps a lot of that smell. So that could very possibly be maybe Djuma. We're not too far from the camp. There are guests there at the moment, so maybe their fires have started for the evening. Maybe they're going to be having a braai, or how a lot of people refer to it as a barbecue in the rest of the world. So we call it a braai, B-R-A-A-I. Wonderful South African traditions. Sit outside around a fire and cook your meat. Ali, good afternoon to you, or almost good evening. I hope you're having a good day. You asked if do certain parts of areas get overgrazed. Ali, within this natural system that we have at the moment, there's a general movement of animals. So depending on the time of year, the animals do move into certain areas. We know that we've seen it here on Safari Live a few times where some of... Sorry. Just hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to an update here quickly. So I'm just trying to hear. Sorry, Ali, I'll get back to your question now. Just these guys are trying to give an update, but now they're breaking up, so I can't hear them properly. Just trying to see what they... It sounds like there's a leopard that they found north of Djuma, though, on Buffelshoek. Just getting back to your question about the overgrazing in the areas. The animals do move around. We know that in times on Safari Live we don't see many elephants around. They spread out. They move into different areas. Giraffe move around. So there's constant movement of animals through this natural habitat, natural ecosystem rather. So we don't really get affected by overgrazing that much, fortunately. In the past, when there were fences up and that, yes, there would have been overgrazing from buffalo and from elephant, and that does still happen in certain areas that are fenced, but I think the Greater Kruger is a good balance. Oh wow, now speaking of elephant, it sounds like Taylor's managed to find a big one to show you.
Well, I didn't find him. You can see there's another guide in the sighting. We were trying to find out what was disturbing those go-away birds, and well, this fella popped up around the corner. We did see his tracks though. He's beautiful. Not quite as large as that big tusker we've been seeing for the last week or so. Actually even longer, almost 2 weeks we've been seeing that big tusker. Not for the last few days though, so he's moved off elsewhere, probably just tailing breeding herd, trying to find a new family group. Obviously he struck out with the group that he was with, but much younger, still quite old. I reckon he's coming into the prime of his life now, probably in his late 30s or so, somewhere around there. But he is gorgeous, not paying any attention to us at all. He's definitely been for a swim and Chitwa Dam. You can see the water's covered right into his head. I think he actually went all the way in, and just his back was sticking out. Normally if they spray themselves with water, they can get all the water onto the tops of their back, but he stands at quite a few meters tall. How cool is that? I have to tell you a little secret. I think I'm being photographed more right now as we sit with this elephant. Hey folks, I hope you're smiling. The other safari car is very fascinated about us. and wondering what on earth we are doing. So we'll have to tell them at some point what we do, which is quite nice. It's always nice to see the expression on everyone's faces, to realize that they can actually watch a safari from their home every single day, even after they've left the best holiday that they've ever had in their entire lives, because that's often what people say after a safari, and you can imagine why. It's not difficult. Even just seeing one elephant brings me joy, especially that this is my last safari for 2 weeks. This afternoon I'll be heading off on holiday tomorrow, so I won't see you, and most of you know that a game drive for me is not complete unless we see these gentle giants. I love the elephants so much, and that's something that I'll miss the most. I'll have to go into the Kruger National Park and onto other reserves perhaps to try and, of course, find some more elephants to keep me entertained while I'm on holiday. I won't be able to stay in the concrete jungle for too long in Johannesburg. I will get bored. Just wave at everyone, waving as they go past. They were just doing the scenic route. It was very kind of them. They went the long way around so that they didn't bump into our shot, which was very nice. Should we reposition slightly? He's actually very relaxed. He doesn't seem to be too bothered by the cars at all, so we're a little bit away from him. I don't think he's in must. I can't see any must signs. Let's just have a look and see how he reacts to us. Chantal, please may I have that question again? Sorry, it didn't come through very clearly. Ah, there we go. I was missing the crucial word sticks there. Now, this Ellie you can see is munching on it. Looks like it's actually eating a balanites, a green thorn or a torchwood, is what it's known as. Oh, you're opening your eyes pretty wide though. And aka you're wondering if the sticks that this elephant is feeding on could puncture its insides. I don't think so. I mean, if it makes it through that elephant's mouth, it sort of crushes it down a little bit. But everything about an elephant is so tough. Their skin gets so used to the thorns and things like that, they are able to. So, no, don't be alarmed. They will eat much worse than just this tree over here. And feed on all sorts of types of things that have got very sharp thorns and hooks on them, so nothing to bother as well. An elephant also won't eat anything that it knows is going to harm it. I just love the way this elephant is opening its eyes. It's actually so fascinating. Normally when we see them, we walk past, look at that, you see what I mean? Isn't that amazing? Staring up, obviously looking to see which is the best leaves to look at, as well, not to look at, but to take off of the tree. Normally you just see their eyes. You don't often see the white. That's really nice. Careful. They're going to pop out of your head if you open them anymore. Look, moving backwards and forwards. That's actually very interesting. Thick wall of eyelashes, of course, to keep the dust out. And any harmful, of course, thorns. Isn't this great? You've got gorgeous chocolate brown eyes, don't you? Right, we're going to see what this Ellie bull gets up to. I'm going to send you across now to Byron, who's bumbling about in the golden light, hoping to stumble across a spotted cat.
Oh, the golden light has left me, Taylor. I'm in the shadows now. The light has definitely moved off. There's a Francolin that's upset about something. Where is it? It's in the grass here somewhere. There it is. There it is. It doesn't look like an alarm calling at anything serious. Maybe just at one another. Or Francolins. Crested Francolin. AKA, yes indeed, these birds will alarm call if there's a big cat or predator in the area. And that's why I stopped to listen to these Francolins and just have a look, because I heard them calling. Now, they don't always get it right. Sometimes it's an alarm call because they might be fighting with one another, but but they will indeed call if they do find or see a predator. They'll fly up into a branch or tree, up into a tree, and give that alarm call. And we've actually seen it quite a few times on Safari Live, with these birds flying up into the trees and alarm calling at predators. Now, we've had no luck with our leopard coming out in this area yet. We'll keep looking. Now, there's another bird that does give off a wonderful alarm call. The grey go-away bird. Part of the Luri family, Luri or Turaco family now. It's known as the Turaco family. This is the grey go-away bird. Beautiful crest. And it's called the grey go-away bird because of the call it gives off. Now, people always laugh at the way I do it. I'll try my best. It sounds like he's saying, "Go away, go away." I think you need a bit of an imagination to hear it, but it's a bit of a warning call that they give. And that's how it got the name, the grey go-away bird. Beautiful light in the sky at the moment. I'm stopping like this too, just to listen. Maybe we hear some alarm calls in this area. Help us pick up on where to start looking for any predators, if they are active or if they are in the area. We're starting to lose light quite quickly. Blaze, the animals do indeed get cold at night time. They definitely do. The temperature drops, so they will get much colder than they usually do. However, the animals adapt very well to their surroundings, and they'll keep themselves warm either by now I've seen this with impala especially. What they'll do is they'll move up into perhaps crest areas or higher areas, so away from the drainage lines, because all the cold air sinks down into those low-lying areas, so it's much colder down there than it is higher up. So a lot of the antelope species and other animals might move up onto higher ground where it's a little bit warmer. Also, a lot of these animals have got thick coats, and it does thicken slightly for the winter, so that helps keep them warm, and they adapt very well to their surroundings very easily. The other thing is, some of the animals, and like the impala for example, what they do is they actually contract muscles in their skin, which causes the hair on their back to stand up slightly, and what that does is it traps air underneath it, and that allows them to form a thin insulation layer over the body to keep them a little bit warmer. So you'll see often cold winter mornings, you'll see impala, it looks like they've been brushed the wrong way. That's the best way to describe it. Their hair is standing on end, and that's so that the air can get under there and form a little insulation layer to help keep them warm. So the animals do have different ways to try and keep themselves warm, but generally it's higher ground that helps a lot. And like I say, they adapt very well to the change in climate, so it doesn't bother them too much. But they will indeed get cold. HA, you said the impala herds seem a lot larger this year, and you asked, is it the boom since the drought? No, I don't think so. I think what might happen is because the little water holes and pans are starting to dry up, so a lot of these animals are having to move closer to the prominent water holes to get water. So that might be a case of why you see a lot more animals congregating in the same area, and might be the reason why the impala herds have increased in size slightly. Also because the rut has has kind of ended. So you still have the rut causes the herds to split slightly because the males are trying to get groups of females that they can mate with. So that obviously changes, and then the females and younger animals, younger males, will all move together within the same group. So that also changes. But I don't think it's necessarily a boom after the drought. We're still waiting for the birth of the lambs for this year. So they only mated probably about a month ago, April, May. That's generally when the mating occurs. So towards the end of the year, we'll start youngsters being born. November is usually the first, the time that the first young impala arrive, the young lambs. Now, I'm going to carry on searching around this drainage line, the sticker area, see if we have any luck. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket here. But let's head back to Taylor, who's still sitting watching that beautiful elephant bull.
We are indeed sitting with this gorgeous character. He is a lovely fella. You know, and it is such a relief to have a relaxed elephant bull. Because the last few days with that enormous tusker that's been roaming around on Djuma, he's been giving us quite a few revs. Sorry, I believe my sound is not so great. I'm trying to figure out what the problem is, but I'm not. It's good on your side. Chantal Fergus says it's coming through his headphones lovely. He says my voice is sounding better than it has ever had. Not joking. Ferg, you're too kind. But look at him push this tree. Don't you dare push this tree over. This is a beautiful tree, and I see they've already pushed over part of this torchwood tree, and I hope he doesn't do it again. Now, of course, we've got schools who have just joined us, so I'd like to say a big welcome to, of course, Garrisonville Elementary, Bailey Elementary, and STEM at the Rogers. Welcome to the three of you, and I look forward to hearing from you and all of your questions. Aren't you all very lucky that we're sitting with this enormous elephant bull? He is gorgeous, isn't he? Right, but now of course, as you're supposed to, you need to see the face behind the voice. My name is Taylor, and who's bringing you the amazing footage of this elephant this afternoon? It's Fergus is behind the camera. So we're great to, of course, have you this afternoon. And remember, keep sending through those questions about this elephant. But we need to reposition now because he's moved around the trees and he's stretching up tall. I'm going to go forward just very quickly. Look how big he is. So just when you think that an elephant is quite tall, when he sticks his trunk up like that to reach the leaves, he's enormous. And you've got the lovely light behind him too. Oh, look at him. He looks like he wants to stand on his back legs. Come on, boy, jump up for us. Now, that's actually quite uncommon to see the elephants in this particular area standing up on their back legs like that. It's not often that you get to see. It's not a handstand, though. What would you call it when an elephant stands on its back legs, Ferg? Any ideas? It's like the equivalent of a handstand, though. It would be impressive if you could see an elephant standing on its front legs, though, with its back legs up in the air. Wouldn't that be amazing? But these are wild elephants, so we can't train them to do anything like that. Just to give you an idea on how big this area actually is that this elephant has got to move around on, and how hard we've been searching the whole day to try and find this elephant. He can move around on 8.5 million acres of land. That's huge. And now he's wrestling the tree, and he's chosen to feed here, which is quite nice. It's actually got a very nice area because he's got lots and lots of juicy and delicious leaves to feed on. That's what he's eating this afternoon. But they don't just eat leaves, they eat fruit as well. They love fruit, it's their favorite when it's about. They eat roots, they'll eat the bark off of the trees, and they love grass. But the grass is a bit brown and old now, so it's not their favorite. And then there's also a nice big dam just behind us. So he's obviously been swimming in there because he's quite dark in color. Now, normally elephants are grey in color, but it also depends on what type of sand they throw over themselves, because you can see a couple of reddish spots on his body. Now, he was having a dust bath, probably after he had a swim. And that helps suffocate all the little insects, all the parasites that will be feeding on his blood. Right. what we're going to do now is I'm going to send you across to Byron, because it isn't just me taking you on safari this afternoon. And I must tell you, Byron is very funny, so perhaps he's got a joke for you.
Hello everyone, welcome. It's nice to have all the kids here with us on school drive. I don't have a joke just yet, Taylor. I'll try my best to think of one. And I'm also trying my best to find you some animals. But don't forget, send us your questions, any questions about a safari, and we'll gladly answer them. And hopefully we can find some animals for you. So nice to have all of you on school drive with us this afternoon, or early evening for us. As you can see, it's starting to get dark. So maybe we have some nocturnal activity, animals that are active at night. It's starting to get a bit colder here now. The temperature's dropping. We've got our jackets on. And I'm trying very, very hard to find some animals this afternoon. Now we'll be looking for signs of animals in various ways. We'll be looking for tracks on the road. Maybe we can find some tracks. Otherwise we will try listen out for alarm calls from other animals. Some of the animals, if they see a predator, they might make a noise like a snorting sound, a blowing sound. We'll listen out for that. So we'll see what we can find. But while I'm looking around, my friend Taylor has still got that beautiful big elephant that she wants to show you.
We're still sitting with our friend over here, who's moved on from his very prickly meal and moved on to something with much softer leaves and no thorns on it at all. He's eating a bush willow now. What's wrong, Ferg? Oh, I thought I heard noises and I started panicking. I was just checking that you're okay. I always have to make sure that the most important person on this car is okay, and that's of course Ferg. Now, Gage, you're wondering how long are the elephant tusks? Sorry, that was me slapping a mosquito on my leg. I think it was trying to bite me. It depends on the elephant, of course. He hasn't got particularly big tusks. I think he's still relatively young, but it's all got to do with genetics. So depending on if his dad had big tusks and maybe his mom has also got the gene for big tusks, then he would have big ones. But he's got average size elephant tusks. But there are some elephants, their tusks are so long that they touch the ground. Can you believe that? But in terms of his body size, he's enormous. He probably weighs maybe 5 tons by now, quite easily. He's not a small elephant, but he's a gentle giant, this one. He's actually very, very calm and relaxed with us. He doesn't mind that we're sitting here at all. He doesn't mind that we're watching him eat either. But you can imagine, elephants have to eat so much food every single day. They've got to eat all their vegetables. Now, Dominique, an interesting question from you. A moment ago, I mentioned the type of diet that the elephants will sort of feed on, and they can catch really well too. Did you see that elephant drop that tree out of its mouth and caught it with its trunk again? I didn't know they could do that. So, sorry, Dominique, and your question was, how does an elephant eat the bark? It's amazing, and I wish that this elephant would demonstrate for us, Dominique. But you see those big tusks? Now, those tusks are an adaptation of their teeth, but they're not used like a normal tooth, so they're not used to grind up food. They've got molars that we can't see that they use to grind their food up, but those tusks are almost like digging tools, if you will. So they will score the trunk of the tree. So they'll take that tusk and they'll put a lot of pressure behind it, and they'll cut through the bark and make a tear in the bark. And then, with using their very, very strong trunks, that bark will be little bit looser where they've made that gash in the tree, and then they'll pull, and the bark is stripped away. So they're not eating the hard, ugly layer on the outside. They want the nice layer on the inside, which is called the cambium layer. But you guys will learn about that once you get into high school. Especially if you do biology, you'll start to learn about the cambium layer. But basically what the cambium layer is, you don't have to worry about that word just yet. That is the area where the nutrients, so all the water, all the different vitamins and things that the tree needs to survive, they'll start in the roots, and then they go all the way up the tree, underneath the hard outer layer of bark, and then they go all the way up into the leaves. How cool is that? And then that's what the elephants are looking for. So even though the elephants just eat leaves and stuff, they do damage the trees once they feed on the cambium layer. in our Acacia Laney, we're looking at this elephant twisting and turning its trunk, and you're wondering, why do they have those things? It's like another appendage. It's like an arm. It's more useful than anything that they have, those elephants, and you can see that's what they use to feed with. So sometimes you'll see an elephant just opening its mouth and biting off of the leaves, and that normally happens with young elephants that haven't learned how to train their trunks yet. Or sometimes it's very sad, though, I don't like it when I see this, is when you see an elephant that is missing part of its trunk, and then it can't feed properly, it can't eat properly, and that makes me very sad. But so sometimes you see that, luckily not too often, but they need their trunks to pull the vegetation and put it back in their mouths. It's like an arm, it's exactly like your hand. There's even little fingertips, 2 little fingertips that are very sensitive, that they're able to move around just on the tip of the trunk, one on the top and one on the bottom. And you often see them using that part of their trunk quite sort of extensively when they're picking up fruit from the ground that's quite small. But you see, they don't use their trunks, they don't suck their food up with their trunks, they pull it off and then put it in their mouth, and they do exactly the same thing when they're drinking water too. So they don't stink their trunks, and they stick their trunks into the water and then slurp it up and then hold it in their nose, in their trunks, and then squirt it back in their mouth. So it's not like a straw. They don't suck it all the way through. They've got to spray it back in their mouth. And then not only do they spray water into their mouths to drink, and not only do they have to drink lots of water, or eat lots every day, they have to drink lots of water too, but they'll also spray water over their entire bodies to try and cool themselves down, which is nice. And I think he was mainly swimming though today. The happiest elephants I've ever seen have been the elephants that have been in water. Now, Nike, you're wondering how the elephants get the roots out of the ground. So almost the same way that they try and use their tusks to score the bark, but there's a step before they can even do that though, before they can dig with their tusks, is they need to push a tree over. Now, elephants are the most powerful creatures out here in Africa. They're one of the few, or they are the only animal that can push over massive trees, some of these big trees that you see behind them, and we'll see if we can find any that have actually been pushed over. So they push them down, and we see this behavior in winter. And then once they've done that, then normally some of the roots are exposed from the ground. They've been pushed out. Then they'll go to them and they'll start breaking them with their trunks, and then they'll also use their tusks if they need to dig for them or help cut those roots in half. And sometimes it's difficult to just pull a root out of the ground. It can be quite strong. You can see, look how he's struggling now. He's actually using his tusk. He helped with the angle of that tusk being a lot longer. He hooked the branch over it and lifted his head up, and then it snapped it quite easily. Now we might actually put let's see, look, he's going to eat the bark now. You see how he's putting the bit of the tree in his mouth, and then he twists it with his trunk. You see how it's turning? It's like a corkscrew. And he's grinding down on that with his molars. Listen. You hear that? So he chomps down on it, he loosens the bark, and as he twists, it unravels in his mouth. See how he stripped it. Now Delia and Marianne are wondering how tall this elephant is and if he's the biggest elephant that we have. Well, in terms of height, no, an elephant's not the tallest. So at his shoulder, he's probably at about maybe 4 meters, 3.5, 4 meters, somewhere around there, so pretty tall. When he stretches his trunk up, he goes at least another meter or so. But the giraffe are the tallest animal in the world. They are very, very big. A big male can stand at 5.5 meters tall, so well over the top of an elephant. The giraffe looks over the top of an elephant's head, and they can also see over the tops of some of the trees. So that's it. But I think elephants are definitely the most powerful. They're really, really cool animals. It is getting a little bit dark though, and he's been so well behaved, so I think we might give this Ellie a little break and let him carry on with his day. He's been wonderful, and I think we're going to start looking for some animals that will come out in the night. So I'm going to send you across to Byron, and I'm going to give him a warning now. Byron, I'm going to challenge you to a chameleon competition tonight, so we've got to try and find at least one. And I'll get Byron though to tell you a little bit more about the chameleons.
Oh dear, so Taylor's challenged me to a chameleon competition. That's it's not easy this time of the year, but there are still chameleons around, so we'll see if we can find some. Okay, Taylor, challenge accepted. We'll see if we can find. Here at a hyena den, just to have a look and see if we are lucky to maybe see some hyena that might be out or hanging around the den site. It hasn't been active the last few times I've got here. This is a den site, is basically the home of a hyena or clan of hyenas. So the little cubs will be in here and the females will be around. But it looks like we are not in luck this evening, unfortunately. Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad. I was really hoping we'd see a hyena or two out and about here. Now you see what they've done here is the hyena have used an old termite mound. And I was hoping that the hyena would be here. They use these abandoned termite mounds. That's a very large termite mound. So the animals, what often happens is once the termites leave it, some of the other animals use that as a home, as a den. And that's what the hyenas have done there. Now, Marcus, you asked, what is my favorite animal? Well, my favorite animal is a little animal called a honey badger. Now, they're very, very shy animals. We don't see them a lot here. They do occur in this area. We do get them. But they mainly come out at night and they're difficult to see. But they're not afraid of anything. They're amazing little animals. And the honey badgers we see around here. Let me see if I can find you a picture quickly, Marcus. I'll show you what it looks like. And that's my favorite animal. And then a close second is the elephant. And much like that big elephant bull that Taylor had, those are my favorites. I love seeing the elephant. But this is the honey badger. Look at that. There it is. Such a cute little creature, but fearless, not afraid of anything, and just my absolute favorite. So that's my favorite. Alright, so now I'm going to continue my search for some other animals. Hopefully we'll find something for you soon. But also, I've got my spotlight ready, and we'll start looking around for chameleons or other nocturnal little animals. Joshua, now you asked how long does it usually take to find a lion? Well, Joshua, it depends, because we're in this area that's completely wild, so we don't know where they are. We need to use a lot of skills to try and find these animals. So sometimes it can take us 20 minutes. If we hear a lion calling and drive into the right area, we might find it very quickly. Other times it can take 3 or 4 hours before we track and find a lion, or an entire day. So it all depends. It depends on the area, if there are lions around. Because this is such a big space, there might not even be lions around. Now, there were lions seen this morning, but they've walked right through our whole property and they've crossed over into another area. So there are no fences around here, so these animals can move around wherever they want, which is great for them. But then that just means that sometimes we can't see them. I'm going to try my best to find a little chameleon for you. Jaden, you asked if there are any monkeys in South Africa. There are indeed. We get little vervet monkeys, and they were actually jumping on my roof earlier today. I had these big bangs on top of my roof, and it was the monkeys jumping on the roof. And we also get baboons, big baboons. We do see them around. But now, this time of the evening, because we're going into night, they will go and sleep up in trees, so we don't usually see them. They'll be hiding away, sleeping and resting up in the trees, and then tomorrow morning early they'll wake up again and move around. Now let's see what we can try to find for you this evening. Brian, now you asked if the chameleons turn black. Now, we only have one species of chameleon in this area. It's known as the flap-neck chameleon. Now, Brian, they don't turn black as such, or completely black, but they do have blotches on their body which turn black, little segments of the body which turn black when they feel threatened. So if they feel like they're in danger, they turn these little blotches black, and that's mainly to try and keep the predator away, to make it look more scary. So that's why they do that. But generally they stay green, or they can also go a slight grey colour in this area. Those are the only colours really that the chameleons turn when they are in this area or in this area. So they can't just turn any colour, it depends. It's mainly a green, a grey, and then with little black blotches on them. Hang on a second, did I see something? Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. Let me just have a look quickly. Yep, my eyes are playing tricks on me. I didn't see anything. Thought I caught a glimpse of something. It's tricky at night, especially using the spotlight. But maybe we're lucky and we've still got quite a bit of time, so we might find something hiding in the trees or in the bushes. Maybe an owl. You never know. We've got a lot of owl species around here. That would be nice to see. And who knows, maybe there is a leopard that decides to come and say hello to us and sticks its head out. That would be really great. It's sometimes difficult to find the animals at night. It's not always that easy. Now, obviously Taylor's launched this competition at me, or raised the competition. Let's see how her search for chameleons is going.
I haven't found one yet, Byron. I think I got a little bit too arrogant thinking that I was going to find a chameleon, because we haven't found one yet, but we're searching. Ha ha ha, Chantal. Ha ha ha. Chantal is giving me, Chantal's directing, that's the voice in my ear today. And she's giving me updates on what I'm doing. But we're still searching here. So another thing that we're going to start looking for is not only chameleons, but I was following leopard tracks a little bit earlier today, and we didn't get lucky. But I think now that it's getting dark, we might have a better chance of finding a leopard. So we're going to check here. But I'm wondering which tracks are the freshest, the ones that maybe go up this way. What do you think? Do you think we should go to Shibamu? Or do you think we should go straight up here? Straight up here. Now, Molly, you're wondering how many animals do we have here while we're on safari? So many different types of animals. It's almost impossible to try and give you an estimate. But there's lots of birds, there's even lots of reptiles like crocodiles and snakes and chameleons and lizards and other things. And then of course we've got elephants and giraffe and buffaloes. There's rhinos occasionally that you see. There are every animal that you can think of in Africa. We've got quite a few of them. We don't have all of them, but there are definitely lots of them out here. Lions is another one. Hyenas, those are cool. And then some of the coolest animals come out at night, but they're also the hardest to spot. They're the most special ones. How beautiful is that? How amazing that this is my office and I get to be out here every single day. I don't think it's really work at all. Right, let's check. So we're checking the trees for not just chameleons, we're looking for bush babies and owls. Now, Kaylin, you're wondering if there's any friendly animals out here that are happy to see me. I like to think that all the animals are happy when they see me, particularly the elephants. I think are the most excited because they're my favorite animal, and I think they can feel my energy, how excited they make me. But most of the animals are friendly out here. You've just got to watch their behavior. So that's probably the hardest thing to learn, and you can't just learn it overnight. It takes many, many years of practice and watching and sitting with the animals and learning that way rather than just reading a book, but it's to try and determine their behavior. So that's very important. So an animal will tell you when it's unhappy with you, and then we are kind and we leave those animals alone. We come back when they're having a better day. They're like you and I. Sometimes I just don't want to talk to anybody at all, so then I don't. But then when someone tries to talk to me, I tell them that I don't want to talk to them, and the elephants will do, or the lions or leopards will do exactly the same thing too. But we're going to keep searching. Hopefully we're going to find some cool animals. Maybe we find Byron's favorite animal, a honey badger, which he showed you a picture of. However, Byron has got a little scrub hare.
Look at what I've found, everyone. It's called a scrub hare. So it's a little hare. Some of you might be looking at it thinking, oh, it's a rabbit. So it looks like a rabbit, but technically it's not a rabbit. It's called a hare, and a scrub hare because it lives in the scrub, in the bushes. It sleeps in the bush during the day, and then they come out at night. Look at those big ears. There it is. Lovely. Look at that. Very, very cute. Busy feeding on some grass and plant material at the moment. I'm not going to shine the spotlight on it for too long. Don't want to disturb it. But a beautiful little scrub hare. Now those are little nocturnal animals, so animals that come out at night, and we do see them from time to time. There we go. Lovely. Nice little surprise. Something different. A little scrub hare. Beautiful to see them. Now we're still searching for our chameleons. Garrisonville, you've asked if I've ever confronted a honey badger. No, I haven't. I've seen them a few times. Luckily, I haven't had to confront them because I think I'd run away, to be honest. They, even though that they're not very big, they like I say, they're very aggressive, and they're not afraid of anything, and they would definitely chase me away. Okay, now I don't know exactly how many honey badgers there are on the safari or in this area. There's because it's such a big area and the animals move around all over, so I can't tell you how many there are. I've only ever seen 2 honey badgers on Safari Live, but there are definitely a lot more. We do see their tracks around, but to find them is quite difficult. So, but they are around, but I cannot tell you exactly how many there are. I've got no idea. Now, Ebony, you asked an interesting question. You asked if the honey badgers are in the same family as the skunk. Now, we don't have skunks per se in Africa. We've got something called a striped polecat and a striped weasel. They look like skunks, similar markings, but they're not skunks at all. But those animals do have what we call a chemical defense. So they do spray a liquid that smells really bad, similar to that of a skunk. So technically they are related, but we don't have skunks here. So, but the honey badgers do also spray a chemical defense. So they are similar to an extent. So they are related, but like I said, we don't have skunks around here. But you're probably asking that because they look similar with that black and white markings. Like I say, they do have a chemical defense. Now, Gage, you asked how long are honey badgers' claws. They've got very, very sharp claws. Very, very sharp, long claws. I would say claws of a honey badger are probably about that long. If you can see that, about that long, somewhere around there. For some of them, but now that doesn't look like very long. But to think that the honey badger is a small creature, honey badger is only about this big, maybe about this tall, about that, not that big. So for its size, the claws are very long. and very, very sharp. They can dig holes very easily if they're looking for food. They'll sometimes eat snakes even. Can you believe that? But they do like honey, and that's why they have the name honey badger. They'll dig up beehives if they find them. And the bees don't even the sting of the bees doesn't really bother the honey badgers, and they'll try and eat some of the honey and then move off again. I'm searching high and low to find something now. Shaman, now you asked when we are recording the videos, or recording the animals or filming the animals, do they go after us? Do they chase us? No, fortunately not. And now the animals, oh look, wait, I think I found a Bushbaby. Hold on. Up in the tree over there. There it goes. It's just jumping about in the tree. You might see it there. Can you see it in the middle of the spotlight? There it is. Can you see that, everyone? A Bushbaby. Look at that. Oh, wow. Now, this is a Bushbaby. Now, it's a small nocturnal primate. So related to monkeys, but not quite in the monkey family, but in the primate family. See those big ears? They're very, very cute. Look at that little face. Now, they get active at night. They jump around, feed on insects, and a lot of sap, mainly from these acacia trees, these thorny trees. Oh, look at him. Ah, that is so cute. Wow, we don't always see them, so this is a real treat. One of the nighttime animals we do see. I think Taylor's going to be very jealous of this. She loves seeing Bushbabies too. Look at that. Let's see if he moves a little bit for us. I'm just gonna... But you can see those big ears, big eyes. Look at it looking around. You see that head turning and looking? Now, because it's active at night, it needs those big ears and big eyes. Destin, you asked how cold does it get this time of year. So, here in Africa, we don't get nearly as cold. There, look at it jumping. Wow, where'd it go? There it goes, jumping and gone. Disappeared. How quick was that? Amazing little jumpers. Well, that was a lovely surprise. I'm so glad I got to show you a Bushbaby. Now, we're talking about how cold it gets here. Well, not nearly as cold as it gets in the United States, but it can get to around, now for us, maybe single digits, so 2 degrees, 4 degrees Celsius. Now, I'm trying to think what that is in Fahrenheit. I don't know. I'm going to need somebody to help me convert that. I don't know what those temperatures are in Fahrenheit. But not cold. We don't get snow. We don't get things like that. Not in this part of South Africa anyway. There are some mountains in South Africa that it gets a bit of snow, but it's not nearly as cold as it gets where you are in the United States. Well, depending where you are. But it can get very cold here in winter. For us at least, and especially with us being on the vehicles, on the open game drive vehicles, with the wind blowing, it can get a bit cold, and we put gloves and beanies on to make sure we stay warm. So we look like marshmallow men sometimes when we walk around, all puffed out with all our layers on. Well, Samira, you asked how the animals deal with the cold. So, the animals have got a number of different ways to deal with the cold, but a lot of the time their coats get a bit thicker for the winter. And also they'll just move into areas that are a bit warmer, maybe higher ground. So, the slightly higher areas, that will be a lot warmer, and that's generally what the animals will do to stay warm. But they adapt very well to the cold conditions, and it doesn't get that cold. So even though we're going into winter now, it's not too cold for the animals, and they'll still be moving around. All right, now we've had some luck with a Bushbaby. Let's go back to Taylor and see how her search is going.
We're looking for chameleons still. We're looking for leopards. We come back into the area and checking around where we last had the tracks, but no new developments just yet, but hopefully we'll get to one. I would even like to show all of you a hyena. So if the hyenas in the bush can hear me, please could you meet me at Shibamu Pans. We'll give them a destination to arrive at, and hopefully they'll just be there. But it's quite tough looking for animals at night, so that's why the spotlight is very, very important. I don't know if Byron has already told you about the spotlight, but we only bring it out at night, of course, because that's when it's powerful enough for us to see. So we're looking for the reflection of animals' eyes. So you almost see like a white flash, or you'll see a red flash, a green flash, and that's what we're looking for. Now, you're wondering how many animals live on the safari? I don't know. Lots. Too many of the animals. It's very difficult to give you an exact number of how many animals that there are out here. We could see any animals at any time. So they've got over 8.5 million acres of land to move around on. So that's a very difficult one to try and answer. They try and count the animals every single year, but it's very difficult, and it's often not particularly accurate because there aren't a lot of roads. There are lots of areas that don't have roads too, so you can't drive and spot them, and then the bush is so thick that you might not see a whole herd of impala or a whole herd of elephants just a couple of meters off of the road. And they also do those counts by air, so they fly around in helicopters and planes counting, and then sometimes they'll do it on foot too, and then they put all their scores together and then they get an average and they of all the animals. But it's difficult, so I can't exactly tell you how many animals there are. Ferg, have you spotted a chameleon on your side?
Nothing.
Nothing yet?
3.
Still searching. Whee, over this little bump. And because we're looking for chameleons, Isabella, you're wondering how hard is it? It's pretty difficult to find them. It's not particularly easy, but there's a trick with the spotlight. If you shine over them, they almost reflect a white or a grey. They just look different to the leaves. So that's how you spot them. During the day, it's almost impossible. You can't spot them. I know one person that can spot chameleons during the day. He's the only person I've ever known to be able to do that. But I think he could be superhuman. I really don't think he is just a human, because if you've seen chameleons, and hopefully I can find you one, they look exactly like the leaves, exactly like a leaf, but it's got eyes and it's got feet and it's got a tail. So to do that and find one in the day, I don't know how they do it. There's some little watering holes here. We just check them quickly, but it doesn't look like there's anything there. There's nothing there. Now, are you wondering if chameleons can turn tie-dye? Not the chameleons that we get here in South Africa, I'm afraid. They can't turn tie-dye. They normally are just sort of greens and earthy colors, so browns. It's not like, for instance, the big panther chameleon that has got a bit of red and all sorts of other colors on it. Ours don't really get that. Right, let's go here. I just want to check this road, this main road, to see if there's anything around here. This is also where the tracks were this afternoon as leopard was moving around. It's like a young leopard, young female leopard that I think is here somewhere, and she plays games with us. She always just moves around just out of sight. We'll just scan down these ways, checking the trees, nothing in that big tree. We'll check a road here. And I'm also looking for footprints. That's the best way to find animals, is actually by tracking them by their feet where they've walked. Okay, we're not winning tonight with the chameleon search, it seems. The camouflage is obviously working, but Byron and I are still going to continue, and I hope I find one before him. Let's go see how far he is.
Let's try. Taylor, we'll try together. I've had no luck yet, everyone, but I'm still looking for all kinds of animals, really. Anything that might pop out at night. So Talia, the main reason why chameleons change color is purely for camouflage. So they do it so that predators like snakes or birds don't see them, so they can blend in with their surroundings, and that's why the chameleons change color. So it's purely for safety. Heather, you asked if when animals are babies, if the parents leave them to fend for themselves. So no, not necessarily. The parents or the adult animals will always look after the young up to a certain age. Now, the amazing thing in wildlife, is a lot of these animals will grow up very quickly compared to us. It takes a long time for us to look after ourselves. Even sometimes, even when you're in your 20s, it still takes you a little bit of time to fend for yourself. You still need a bit of help from mom and dad. But with a lot of the animals out here, then they will grow up very quickly and become independent. We say they become independent. They don't need the adults to look after them, and that will happen quite quickly for a lot of these animals. Some almost immediately, when they're born, they can stand up and run around already, and they have to for safety. But some of the other animals, like the predators, a lot of them, they need the help from the adults. For the first few months, they are completely helpless, so they need the mothers to come back and look after them. So the adults will go and look for food, but they'll always come back and look after the young. So with all animals, until they get to an age that they can eventually fend for themselves and they don't need the help from the adults. Oh, Taylor, you really gave us a hard quest for tonight to try and look for chameleons. I've had no luck just yet. Jordan, no, the chameleons are not the most rare animals on a safari. We've got a number of other animals around that are very rare that we don't see any that often. So one would definitely be the honey badger. Those are very rare because they're mainly nocturnal, very shy, and we don't see a lot of them. I'm trying to look very carefully for chameleons. Not having any luck here. Sorry, I think Chantal, you broke up a little bit there. Give me that question again if you had a question. Chantal's the lady who's giving me all your questions. So I'm just asking her if she's tried to send another question. There we go. Nyala, you asked, has an animal gone to the bathroom on me? Well, I've had a bird sit on top of a tree and drop some dung before. Little bird droppings rather that landed on my cap and my jacket. I've had that before, but I must tell you a secret. Now, some of you might laugh at this. I didn't think it was funny at the time. I was standing with guests, and we were watching some monkeys in the tree above me. And the next thing, we tried to walk out from under the tree, and one of the monkeys weed on me. So I wasn't very happy about that at all. Isn't that disgusting? So, but it was quite funny, although I didn't think it was that funny at the time. So don't walk under monkeys. That's a golden rule. I'm looking very, very carefully around here. Sure, this is becoming very difficult, I think, because also chameleons aren't that active in winter. Because they are reptiles, they prefer the warmth, so they're not that active in winter. However, there definitely are still chameleons around, and they are still out. We just need to look very carefully to find them. So Julia, most animals will just move out into open areas at night. You asked where they go. Well, maybe open clearings, somewhere that's easier to keep an eye out for any potential danger, any predators. So a lot of the antelope that we have, like the impala or the waterbuck or the kudu, they like open areas. The wildebeest too, zebra, and they'll move out into clearings, so it's easier to look out for any predators. Other animals get active at night. They start moving around, looking for food, foraging for food. Animals like elephant and that, they'll constantly move around. They won't necessarily just stay in one area, so they will move around too. Oh dear, Taylor, I'm regretting this decision of challenging you to a chameleon find, because I can't find anything. Let's go and see how Taylor's is going.
We're searching, we're still searching. I'm looking, this is my secret sneaky chameleon spot. There's normally a chameleon that sits around here, but I don't think I can find it this evening. Maybe it's got a little bit too cold for it and it's gone back and it's hiding in some of the thicker vegetation behind the leaves, which then makes it more difficult for us to spot them. But let's keep trying. This is, like I said, this is my favorite chameleon area. Normally when I drive here I'll find one. Ooh. Now Evans, you're wondering what animal is most scared of me and will it run away quickly? Most of the animals, can you believe it, are actually scared of us. They don't want to bump into us, especially if we're on foot. If you're out of the car, there's a completely different story. Then they don't trust us at all. But in the cars, most of them are fairly relaxed and they aren't too bothered at all. But of course it's never a good idea to go walking up to a wild animal because you don't know what it could do. Most of the time they're going to run away, but you need to be very experienced if you want to do an approach on animals on foot with the animal behavior that I was talking about. So you don't get yourself into a sticky situation, because we as humans really don't have much to try and protect ourselves with. As you can imagine, we've just got our hands, and whereas animals have got claws, they've got horns, they've got big sharp teeth. There are many ways that animals can protect itself. But we are running out of time now and we're just getting to the last seconds of the show. But thank you so much to all. Oh, there's a chameleon, there it is. So thank you to all the schools, of course, that joined us. I managed to find you a chameleon, but it's hiding behind some leaves, but there we go. It is beautiful and green. And thank you to all our regular viewers who watch every single day. We hope that you tune in for hopefully a cat-filled Friday morning. See you tomorrow.